And that can mean only one thing. It is time for Harper Talks. Today we have a special guest in the studio, Dr. Ken Ender, who is the president of Harper College. Dr. Ender came to the college in 2009 and just recently signed a new contract just a little while ago. And so he's going to be with us a little bit longer. And I think we're all pretty happy about that. How you doing this morning, Ken?
Good. Thanks, Brian. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate being here.
I'm glad you were able to come and join us this morning. So before we get into some of the meat and potatoes of the things we wanted to talk to you about today, some conversations we've had in the past, I know you have a twin brother.
I do.
And your twin brother is also a college president?
He is.
And you two play tricks on your campuses, yes?
Occasionally we do.
What do you do?
We just both show up in different places on the same campus, and people see us in two places, and they can't figure out how that could possibly happen.
Does anybody ever get in trouble with that?
Not recently.
Not recently.
Not recently. Maybe several years ago when we a little bit younger.
A little bit younger.
A little bit more daring.
A little more daring. All right. And I know you're a runner as well.
I am. I used to run competitively. I still run, but I'm not doing any competitive running now. I ran a lot of marathons, a lot of speed races, but that's when I was in my 30s, 40s, 50s. My birthday's today. I am 67. So.
Oh, happy birthday! I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
We're making you work on your birthday.
Indeed.
Well, hey, so here's a question for you. Running, I don't get it. Why do you run? Doesn't it hurt?
No, I don't. I mean, it hurts if you're not in shape, I guess. And if you're smart about getting in shape, it doesn't hurt. And frankly, after you really begin to run and run well, the endorphins that come back to you make you feel pretty darn good. So it's a great way to exercise, I think.
Well, I get that. I'm a cyclist, and so I know all about the endorphin rush you get from that. So I understand that. But me, I run when chased. That's that's my plan. And I maybe I shouldn't bring this up, but how does the cigar smoking affect the running?
It's all about living a balanced life.
Okay. So we brought you in today because there's all kinds of fun stuff going on at the college, and there's some not so fun stuff going on at the state level. And I thought maybe we would just get that one out of the way right here at the very beginning. Can you tell us how this ridiculous state budget crisis that's been going on for over 2 years now, over 2 years now, is affecting Harper and what we're doing about that?
Well, it's caused us to make some decisions that we really regretted when we made them and had to make them if we were going to maintain a balance sheet that was fiscally responsible. Truth be told, we've abolished 62 positions at Harper College in the last 2.5 years. We've laid off 29 professional people, and we've accepted early retirement offers from, I want to say, 30 or 31 full-time faculty. So, I mean, that's a lot of talent that has been at this institution, some short-term, many of them long-term, that we now must move forward without. And it was not wholly caused, but a good deal of it was caused because we were not receiving and have not received the appropriations from the state of Illinois that would have gone into the revenue side of our budget and help us balance our budget. Right now, we ought to be receiving about $7.25 million from the state. So far, we've received about a 3.2. Mm-hmm. We should have received an additional $1.5 million for MAP grants. We've not received that, and we don't anticipate, given the current state of affairs down in Springfield, it doesn't look like there's any end to this in sight in terms of money flowing back to the college.
Okay, so you mentioned the MAP grants. Now, those grants are, for a lot of people, essential to going to school. What have we done about that?
Well, we have literally, both last year and this year, we have front-loaded MAP grants. So the college assumed the responsibility to package a MAP grant for the student and to provide the MAP grant to them out of our college funds. Last year, we were repaid by Springfield for that. And our position for next year is if we get refunded for this year's MAP grants, then irrespective of whether or not there's a budget in place for FY18 or not, we will front load grants again. On the other hand, If we don't get refunded this year by June 30th, then we'll instruct the financial aid office not to package MAP grants.
And what do you think that does to enrollment?
I think and I can't tell you if it's going to be, I mean, 1.5 million means that we have relatively, compared to a lot of other schools, a small group of students on MAP grants. Let's think we might have 500. It might be that half of those folks wouldn't be able to attend the institution.
That's not good.
It's not good.
And that further exasperates with the problem, right?
So, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the sad thing is, and if you read this morning in the Chicago Tribune, it is true that the legislature, particularly the Democrats in the legislature, have the votes to develop and pass a budget and overcome a veto. So for us not to have a budget right now, frankly, is just irresponsible.
I certainly agree. So how does that affect you personally? I mean, laying off that many people at the college has had to be a burden for a lot of people at the school, but how does it affect you? Do you take that personally as well?
I'd like to tell you that I don't. I mean, I'm empathetic. It's great. You know, I know some of these folks personally. So to not have some affect attached to it would be that wouldn't be truthful. That being said, when you're in a position where there is no alternative, and it becomes, as much as anything else, a business decision.
Right.
If I can keep it in that box, then I do okay with it.
Right.
When the kids seep out, or when the spouse seeps out, that's when it starts to get a little bit personal. But in the last 20 years doing this president's job, I mean, I've made many decisions that affected people, both very positively and very negatively. And I think if I wore them all on my sleeve, I wouldn't be able to do the job.
Right. The buck stops with you, so you're the one who has to make the decisions in the end. So
ultimately, that's exactly right.
Okay, so in order to deal with the state budget crisis, we've had to do a few things here at the school in addition to losing some employees and offering some early retirement packages. We've got an increase in tuition, and we've got an increase in fees recently passed by the board. Can you tell me the details of that and what students can expect?
Our tuition went up $5.50 a credit hour, and our fees went up $3 a credit hour. If you compare our tuition and fees all in to the other 47 community colleges in the state, we're about 23rd in terms of, if you go from low to high, we're 23rd.
So it's still a good deal.
It's a good deal. It's a good deal even if you were 48th.
Sure.
In terms of, if you're thinking about the elasticity between the price of a community college tuition, even on the high end, and your lowest end regional public university. I mean, there's a delta there that's at least a third, if not a half. So, but the way we like to think about pricing, and maybe this is just really too homespun, I think it should be possible for the community colleges in America to price their tuition in a way that a student, a young person who lived at home with their family, were dependent on their family for room and board, that person ought to be able to work in the summer and work part-time during the year and pay the tuition of public higher education, at least at the community college level. And we've tried real hard to use that as a benchmark for how we think about pricing. We also have tried very hard not to ever let our full price of tuition and fees outstrip the amount of money available through a Pell Grant for our most neediest student.
Okay.
So those two sort of alignments is where we want tuition to always be, if we can put it there. We are there with this new tuition and fee structure that will go into effect this summer. The $3 fee is a fee that essentially provides students with two things they have not had historically here. One, complete access to the parking deck on the east end of the campus, which last night and today would have been a good deal if you were trying to keep your car out of the snow.
Sure.
And in the summer of 2018, we will be opening up a state-of-the-art health, fitness, and wellness center. What used to be known as affectionately as our old M building.
Right.
Some students called it the loneliest building on the campus. And we're trying to transform it from the loneliest to one of the most, to the busiest building on campus. It'll be, I think it's going to be a grand addition to the student community in terms of fostering student engagement. We're going to have a partnership with two other groups. The Palatine Park District has invested several $1 million to help us upgrade the pool and develop new locker rooms. The Northwest Community Health Care Service, the hospitals, are going to build a 10,000 square foot addition onto our building, and we'll have a state-of-the-art non-ambulatory care with physicians and rehab folks. It's going to be a first-class health facility that will take the place of our on-campus health facility, and will provide clinicals for our nursing students and practical nursing students and CNAs. And then we're going to spend, all in, we're spending $38 million in this project. We'll bring in a professional management firm that has a student affairs, student development background. They'll run all the recreational and wellness activities. Students will be members with their ID card, have access to all the activities, the programs, the fitness rooms, the weight rooms, the pool, etc. So we're very excited about it.
That's really exciting. You're listening to Harper Talks on FM 88.3 WHCM. I'm Brian Shelton, and my guest today is Dr. Ken Ender. And you were just talking to us about Building M. And I think one of the really interesting things about that project is the partnership with the Palatine Park District and with the hospital. Can you tell me a little bit about how those two partnerships came about? Because I think they're pretty unique.
Yeah. You know, we have a pool, an Olympic-sized pool over there with two diving boards, high and low, and we've had it for 40 years, and we've never had a team,
right.
a swim team, and we didn't teach much swimming. So maybe 3 years ago, when the physical plant folks advised me that the pool was failing, it was just running out of gas. It wasn't going to be able to make it with the pumps and everything else that we have to keep maintained. I said, well, you know, we don't use it, so let's just let it fail and we'll just get out of the pool business. And I advised the board that that's what we're going to do, and everybody said, fine. I don't even know why I did it, Brian, but I decided to take a look at who really does use the pool.
Sure.
And much to my surprise, the pool was getting a lot of use by the Palatine Park District and by the Bueller YMCA and some small swimming teams in the area. So I went around and asked the folks who led those groups, what would be your reaction? What's the outcome to the community if this pool is no longer online? And what I learned was this pool was regarded as a significant community asset. I mean, wasn't an asset so much for us, but it was an asset of the community.
Sure.
So I had this epiphany. I said, well, you know, we are a community college. Just like we have tennis courts, but we don't have a tennis team.
Right.
I would never take those tennis courts away because I see hundreds of people, taxpayers, folks who live in our district. Same. So the thing for the pool was, okay, if we are going to save it, how can we do it? And that's where we started talking about a partnership with the Palatine Park District. They literally are going to operate the pool 75% of the time and pay for 75% of the operating costs, and they've invested $9 million into the capital.
That's great.
On a 20-year deal, which I'm certain will be renewed many times over. So we'll get the kind of appropriate use we need. We'll have a great asset for the community, and the community will always have that pool. With the community health service, it was I know the CEO at Northwest Community, and I said to him, we're interested in getting out of the health business. We're not we do this because we want to provide service, but we've got a great Bridget Craighill, if you know her, she's a great nurse, a practitioner, and my doctor of choice when I need to find a doctor, actually. But we shouldn't be running a health service in the 21st century. We don't have residence halls. And until things change, everybody should have an insurance card. So we are bringing Northwest Community Hospital onto our campus to run they'll be open from 6 in the morning to 10 at night, a non-ambulatory urgent care center with full doctors involved, so doctors will see patients there. There'll be rehabilitation going on using the pool and the fitness areas of the fitness center. They'll be deeply involved with all those activities.
That's fantastic. You know, I think in these times with the state budget the way it is and just other economic factors going on, being able to develop these community partnerships is really important.
Well, I think it's the future of public education.
Absolutely.
In terms of financing the enterprise, it's putting together public-public, maybe public-public-private partnerships to bring capital investment. I don't see how you sustain the business models without figuring out a way to leverage other institutional pockets.
Yeah, and it really helps put the community back in community college as well. Not to be cheesy with
Yep,
that one, but
no,
yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. So a little while back, I was at the President's All-Campus meeting, your meeting, and you unveiled a new program called the Harper Promise program.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to tell you, when you introduced that program, I thought that was the greatest idea since sliced bread. I just really, really got excited about it. And I think that people know about it, but not enough people know about it. And I was hoping you could walk us through what the Harper Promise program is and how that's going so far.
Sure. Well, let me just contextually describe what we think the conditions are in America today that compels us to have a Harper Promise. We can't imagine any young person in school today that will successfully lead a self-sustaining life and perhaps provide for a family if that young person doesn't secure credentials beyond a high school diploma.
Sure.
So by definition, we have to get to mass, at scale, post-secondary education for every kid in this country.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing we know is there's probably 40 to 50% of the kids in this country who have had no experience with higher education from their family and don't have the money to pay for it even if they did, because the nature of our have-not and haves is getting so broad that we've got a lot of families that even if they know that some sort of college is necessary, don't have a lot of hope in getting there. And then last, we hear from employers all the time who tell us, if you could just give us new employees who can learn on the job and have a good work ethic, we'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we put all those factors together and we came up with the Harper Promise, which essentially is this. We've said to every ninth grader in our district, and there's about 7,500 of them that start every fall, if you want to register for the Harper Promise, we will take your name and you will commit next year and for the next 3 years after that for meeting certain benchmarks on attendance, the quality of your work, the rigor of your work, the persistence you have to finish your work, and community service. Each year, those benchmarks get a little bit more strenuous, but frankly, I would say to you, they're the kind of benchmarks that, well, one of our business leaders put it this way, we really want to work, we want to see scrappy C students come out of this program.
Mm-hmm.
And we want them to be able to learn for the rest of their life, so they've got to be college ready when they graduate high school. So that's the deal. 4 consecutive years of progressively more disciplined attendance, quality of your work, rigor of your work, persistence to finish your work, and community service, and graduate college ready.
Now, what does college ready mean for?
It means that you come to our institution and you're not placed in any remedial course.
Okay.
So no math, no English, and you write well. Again, those are not high bars.
Right.
But we know that if students come not prepared, they typically do not last.
Right.
They get too dismayed with the work they've got to do. So we're putting a lot of work with our high school colleagues into the sophomore, junior, and senior year to make sure these students are college ready. So and from my perspective, then Brian, they've got to continue meeting those benchmarks at Harper College to get their second semester, their third semester, and their fourth semester paid for. If you think about it, so let's take a student who just got her HVAC certificate, right? or associate degree.
Sure.
So licensed to work in commercial and residential heating and cooling. I could present that student to an employer and say, look at this gal. For the last 6 years, 4 years in high school and 2 years in college, she's been where she's supposed to be on time. She's done quality work as defined as work she didn't have to do over. She's finished everything that she's been assigned to do in the time period she's been assigned to do it. She's worked hard, and what I mean by that, there was enough rigor in her curriculum so she was prepared to go to college without remedial courses. And over the last 6 years, she's done 125 hours of community service. That's a fantastic candidate.
Right.
So,
hire that person.
So you've got work ready and you've got college ready. It responds to the national priority about universal post-secondary education. It's not free. Students earn their right to get these scholarships, and we're out in the community soliciting investments, is what we call them, from friends and others who would like to see us be able to fully fund this program.
And how's the funding going?
We need a minimum of $10 million. Mm-hmm. We've got 8.9 as of this morning. We'll go over 10 on September 16th, the night of the college's 50th anniversary gala. And we've got 2 years after that to continue to raise money. So I'd like to see us finish up between $12 and $15 million by 2019.
Wow, what a fantastic opportunity for the students in this region to be able to go to school and an enduring legacy for you as well, I think. So I know it's not just you, but everybody involved.
Yep.
So what a great opportunity. And everybody, so far, it's going well. The students who are the first to enroll.
It's well, interesting. We had to run some back of the envelope numbers to figure out how much, what could we end up having to finance.
Right.
We think about 12% of the original classes will end up ultimately earning and accessing the scholarship money. A lot of students will leave the program because they will not be able to meet the attendance requirement.
Okay.
That's particularly true in the senior year. So we've got to help students find more ways to make the senior year important to them.
Okay.
This may be one of them, quite frankly. Grades typically do okay. Actually, community service was a stumbling block for a lot of the first year students, but we think we've remedied that. But if you ask me that question next year and the year after, I can give you a much better idea of how the funnel is working.
Okay. Let's talk real quick about Building F, the library building. Lots of construction going on campus. If you walk onto the Harper campus right now, it looks like a bomb hit Building F.
Right.
So
it did, I think.
So what's going on over there?
A complete rehab of the building. That's another $30-some-odd million project, and essentially, when we're done, there'll be a new front on the building. The first floor will be all committed to learning support services. So all the tutorial, all the supplemental instruction, all the writing labs, everything we typically now do up on the third floor in a place that's hard to find, will be in a big commons area on the first floor. The library itself will be on the second and the third floor. And the second floor will have all the group study areas and the project areas and access to computers. The third floor will be much more of a stacked area for things that we are going to be storing. Also will be where our Center for Faculty Development will be housed up on the third floor. So we'll do a lot of instructional design work up there.
Okay, great. So you've got a little bit of time left on your tenure here at Harper. What do you see for the future of the school? When you walk out of here on your last day, where do you want the school to be?
Well, I can tell you pretty categorically where I want us to be. I want every student on July 1st of 2019 to know the name of the person at this college that is charged with helping them get a degree here. So every student will have an advisor and a coach. Will be case managing every student who is certificate or college or a degree bound. Every student will have a formal onboarding process at the college that will ultimately lead the student to having a 2-year academic plan that's coupled with at least a preliminary kind of career choice. Our Promise program will be totally funded. There'll be no question that the promises that we made that we'll be able to keep. Our reserves, our fund balance, which was $56 million when I got here, needs to be $56 million when I leave here. So my successor will have some breathing room. And I hope we'll be able to establish, if we decide to do this and go out to the voters, some capital dollars that we can also leave the successor to be able to manage the place well for the next decade. Those are all very important finishing points for me. That's the things that I've said, boy, if we could get that done, this would have been a great 10 years, and the next 10 should be equally as good, if not better.
All right, that's fantastic. I really want to thank you for taking the time out of your, I know, very busy schedule to come and talk to us today on Harper Talks. I know you got a meeting coming up at 10 o'clock, so we'll get you out of here. Hopefully have you on again sometime soon, talk about how progress is going, especially with Harper Promise. That's a program that I'm just really interested in and passionate about learning about.
Be happy to give you an annual update on that.
That's fantastic. All right, thank you, Dr. Ender, for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, and this is this week's Harper Talks, and we're going to leave you with a little bit of soul music to get you going on FM 88.3 WHCM Harper College Radio.